Loft 100 Studios, The Big Biz Show, and our affiliates and our hosts are not registered investment advisors or broker-dealers.
Our show hosts make no commitment that the purchase of securities of companies profiled or otherwise mentioned in our programming
are suitable or advisable for any person, or that an investment in such securities will be profitable in general.
Given the nature of the company's profile and the lack of an active trading market for the securities, investing is highly speculative and carries a certain high degree of risk.
We profile selected publicly traded and privately held companies on our program.
Most of these companies that we profile have provided compensation to Loft 100 Studios and its hosts for the profile coverage.
From time to time, we sell shares of the companies profiled in the open market that we receive as compensation for coverage of client companies.
But never sell stocks if we are speaking about interviewing or covering a public company who has paid compensation.
Specific questions on compensation can be obtained by contacting producer at sullyandgroup.com.
Listeners should verify all claims and do their own due diligence before investing in any securities mentioned on this program.
Investing in securities is speculative and carries a high degree of risk.
We encourage our investors to invest carefully and read the investor information available at the websites on the
Securities and Exchange Commission at sec.gov and or the Financial Industry Regulatory Authority, FINRA, at www.finra.org.
I like it.
Hey, is that a rescue plane?
Welcome to the Big Biz Show. You want fast-talking, hard-hitting discussions on business and finance? Maybe with a barroom slant and some really salty peanuts? We're not counting calories. We're counting cash. Before we get to the man with the financial plan, meet the money team. Costa, Mary, now Captain Finance himself, Sully.
Wherever you're watching, wherever you're listening, we welcome you to another episode of The Big Biz Show. We're live inside the Loft 100 Studios here in beautiful Southern California.
Southern
exactly.
What? Southern
I was drinking out of that bottle of rum in the disclaimer before we started. I'm Costa, Mary, Godwin, and Sully.
Great to have you along. Of course, the day trader Quattro is in. Give us a little something, boys.
1, 2, 3, 4.
I was looking at their set list. They are putting a new album out. It's 150 songs that are 30 seconds each.
Hey. Oh, do it. I'd listen. I would listen.
Howie Font in New York City, here to talk about the biggest fear on AI bringing to our. What do you think the biggest fear of the AI is?
Replacing people, human people.
That's right, exactly right. Howie, is that a thing? Because remember what did Henry Ford put together
That's right.
the assembly line, which threatened workers, and it certainly did, but they survived. And then, of course, the internet replaced data processors in some cases back in the day, and now AI AI and robotics come in to replace the rest of us. Is there reality to this? Because I know there's sentiment about it, but is there actually reality?
So I think the consensus is, in the long term, we as consumers, we as professionals, human beings will be better off. The economy will be better off. But Henry Ford did a great thing for the country. Amazing. Facilitated a lot of new economic traffic and gave a lot of people in the assembly line good paying jobs. Not good for stable boys, right? So one of the effects that AI is going to have, the stable boys of this technology, is looking to be junior workers. Your first 1 to 3 to 5 years, where you're almost breaking even or maybe even costing the company that's employing you some money in terms of your output.
So talk about this new survey by Junior Achievement. Junior Achievement is the youth, right? It's sort of the industrious youth. Mm-hmm. I remember I was part of Junior Achievement, and I think it was selling seeds or something. Weren't we selling seeds back in the day?
I believe so, yeah.
I think they were
cattle embryos.
They weren't they weren't cannabis seeds, but they were seeds.
Yep.
They're selling different seeds these days. 73% of teens believe the AI boom will either help them or have no effect. That's really interesting.
Oof.
Yeah, I mean, right now AI kind of can seem like a dumb intern, but it's getting better, and I'm seeing things. So if you don't have knowledge, if you are a dumb intern and you're talking to another dumb intern, how much value?
Yeah, garbage in, garbage out, right?
Yeah, exactly. But if you are a knowledge worker that has lots of information and knows the context and just needs a system followed, a procedure and you need to apply one process 1,000 times in a short period of time. You're going to hire some kid to do it?
Is this affecting kids' willingness or desire to go to college in exchange for maybe going to what we used to be called technical skills? Because these are sort of technical skills now.
Yeah, I mean, traditionally the trend has been, and I'm talking from like the post-war era to now, is the losses in the younger, the 16 to 24, call it, age range in the employment market has been okay because college has absorbed those. Well, with the cost of college, we might be hitting a wall there where, the people that wanted to work in that age range really only want to work. So, they're kind of a rock and a hard place between the high cost of college, and you said correctly, technical skills, associate's degree is probably a good solution to that. And then, you have the pressure of AI and automation coming for their jobs.
Hey, Howie, do you think that the younger folks aren't as scared about AI because they've known it from such an early age? They're just ready to embrace it, as where I think I'm terrified by it because it's so foreign to me and I've lived so many years without it. And so I feel like these young, both my daughters are like, yeah, so what? They're not afraid of it. Maybe they are not wrapping their heads around what we're saying here, but they just are going to find a new way to adapt quicker, I feel like.
Yeah, I think both ends. I think you and your daughter are on opposite ends of the spectrum, and probably the right thing is to meet in the middle. I worry that for young people that, yes, they're comfortable with these tools, that maybe too comfortable. Can they generate 2,000, 3,000 word paper on their own anymore? Do they know enough adjectives to get that done? And then do you have the base load of knowledge to actually get the best out of AI? So that's where the younger people need to kind of meet AI in the middle. And then, yeah, of course, we should definitely get started on teaching everybody to learn the tools and make sure they're not intimidating.
Howie, do you remember when we had Sirius and XM satellite radio, and it was two entities, and
usually publicly traded. XMSR was a Saxon.
Yeah.
And then you called that radio? Yeah. Is that like Wi-Fi?
Terrestrial broadcasting.
And everyone said, hey, eventually they're gonna come together. Do you see, as far as the AI landscape is concerned, that it's just going to be a big cannibal party and the strong will survive? Because they literally seem to pop up every day.
Like a new ChatGPT.
Yeah, something new.
The Claudes of the world that we talked about yesterday, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think the big ones are going to be commodities, and then what's really going to be important is the application layer. So you have the brains, Claude, OpenAI, Grok, and name them. There's a half dozen now. Gemini for Google.
Yeah.
Those are the brains, and those are going to get better and better. And those companies need to have as best a model as they can to support their businesses, but the products are what's really important. Claude has this very cool co-working tool, deep research with OpenAI. So I think the costs are going to come down, and this is going to be very interchangeable business. You're going to be able to switch between models for your actual work. And then the companies that'll make money are people that use them. Like refrigeration, Coca-Cola makes more with refrigeration than refrigerator companies do.
But thanks, buddy. I appreciate it.
Howie Font, big Biz Show market analyst. As we say, we're always smarter after we talk with him. All right, there's a lot more smarter stuff coming your way today on the Big Biz Show. Don't go anywhere. We're in Southern California, inside the Loft 100 studio. Hope you guys are having a great day. Thanks for being along for the ride. That right there, day trader Quattro, best in the business, no less than self-taught. Love those guys a lot. That's what they pay me to say. Back here at the bar, it's Costa, it's Mary Godwin, and it is Sully.
Great to have you along. I've talked to you guys, I've shared you a little bit my family with my mother and my oldest daughter suffering from MS. And there's a company that we've had on and off over the last year and a half named Immunic. And they are really doing really remarkable work in late-stage trials for MS. They just closed a $200 million private placement to help that late-stage stuff. Which is good news in a couple areas, but I think we have Jason again.
Jason Tardio is our President, Chief Operating Officer, Immunic Therapeutics, ticker symbol IMUX, and we welcome him back to the Big Biz Show. Jason, it's been a while. Thanks for the time, man.
Thank you for having me.
Hey, I have to bring this up. Before we get to the Immunic part of this thing, let's talk about the money side of this thing, because you and I have talked about this before. Money was shut down in the biopharma industry for about 2.5 years, except for 1/4 of last year. This is good news overall, is it not?
Very good news. Yes, it's been a tough couple of years, but strong wins in our sales, if you will, in the latter part of 2025, especially Q4. The sector, we believe, is recovering, and we have clear optimism for what's to come ahead of us.
The good news for you guys is obviously this brings you guys to the next kind of phase to get you closer to NDA and get closer to commercialization. Talk about exactly what this money does for you guys.
Well, this is transformative for the company. We are fully funded now for the foreseeable future, which allows us to focus on really 4 key objectives. The first being the readout of our phase 3 studies in relapsing forms of multiple sclerosis, which we're guiding towards readout at the tail end of this year. In parallel, it allows us to begin to pull together a new drug application and prepare to submit a new drug application, which is the formal process to submit to the FDA for approval of your medicine. And so we will target that upon successful data in Q2 of 2027. We are also going to kick off a phase 3 confirmatory study in primary progressive multiple sclerosis. And the progressive forms of the disease just have enormous unmet need with only one available therapy today. So we're very excited about that. And then the last objective is it allows us to begin to prepare for a commercial launch of vidofludimus calcium in the United States in relapsing MS in 2028.
Jason Tardio is the President and COO of Immunic Therapeutics, ticker symbol IMUX. Jason, as far as the United States is concerned by itself, how many people are affected with one form or another of MS?
Well, according to the National Multiple Sclerosis Society, which is the largest patient advocacy group, there's over 1 million individuals living with multiple sclerosis in the United States alone. Jeez. And so it's a fairly common disease. It's a disease of which there's been I think over the last 30 years or so, there's been some wonderful innovation, but we have not solved the disease. Individuals living with MS still have disability progression, physical disability progression, cognitive disability progression. And so there continues to be a need for safe and alternative ways to address this disease. And this is what we're hoping to bring to the market with vidofludimus calcium.
Hey, Jason, for the vidofludimus, is that how you say it?
Vidofludimus calcium. Just rolls off the tongue if you're Jason Tardio. Come on.
Is that something that, so for relapsing MS, do they take it when they relapse, or they take it when they're not so that they don't relapse? How does that work?
No, so this would be a disease-modifying therapy. So this is a medicine that individuals living with the disease would take every day to control the relapses, so to prevent relapses from happening, to prevent new lesions from forming in the brain, and ultimately to prevent disability accumulation. So this is not a symptomatic therapy. This is a medicine that would change the trajectory of the disease.
What's interesting here is you guys reported data from your phase 2, and now that we're moving into the next phase here, what have we learned, and any surprises since, or has it been sort of a holding pattern until you knew you had the money in place?
Well, as I've mentioned, we're running one large program in relapsing forms of MS, which is the most common form of the disease. About 75% of individuals diagnosed with MS have relapsing forms of MS. So we have 2 ongoing phase 3 trials, the ENSURE-1 and the ENSURE-2 studies, and we're expecting top-line data from those studies in December of this year. In parallel, we did report in the spring of 2025 a very interesting and compelling data from what's called the CALIBR study in progressive forms of multiple sclerosis. And in this study, we showed that vidofludimus calcium can stave off disability progression in both SPMS, secondary progressive MS, and primary progressive MS patients. And so what we've been waiting for with this financing is this now allows us to kick off a confirmatory study, a phase 3 program, specifically in primary progressive MS, and we hope to kick that off in the second half of this year.
Can I ask you, in terms of infusions, in terms of pills, in terms of just patient quality of life, how does this change things for both the relapsing, remitting, and progressive MS?
Treatment selection in multiple sclerosis is very individualized. And so clinicians will sit with patients and ask them their goals and objectives for therapies. They'll ask them a little bit about their lifestyle, and they'll ask them what they're looking for in a therapy. So there are therapies that are infused every 6 months, for example, infused every month, for example. There's therapies that you inject and self-inject at home, sometimes a couple of times a week, sometimes once a month. And then there's oral therapies as well. Vidofludimus calcium sits in that category. It is a tablet that's taken once a day. And so we believe it's a very, very convenient option for patients. And again, the data that we've generated to date shows very, very strong efficacy data balanced with a what we believe may be a best in disease safety and tolerability profile. So we combine convenience with great efficacy, with great safety and tolerability. And again, we believe we have a winner on our hands.
The company is Immunic Therapeutics. President COO is Jason Tardio. Their ticker symbol IMUX.
You know, you're very capable CFO, Glenn, over there, and you and the whole team put together a pretty interesting deal, which is super clean on this $200 million private placement, including some warrant coverage. And for the folks, just a little infotainment for you. Warrants are basically a kicker when folks are investing money in a publicly traded company, but they're investing into what's called a PIPE, where they can't really sell their stock right away. It gives them what's called a kicker. It gives them incentive. They're being paid to wait, basically. And what that is for you guys, though, it's a cash windfall for you down the road. So you explain that. I don't think people really understand. Look, I've given away some shares and we've given away some more potential shares, but what it really is for you guys, it's a huge cash windfall down the road once those warrants are exercised, because that's more capital coming in.
It's twofold. It's cash today, so $200 million that we received in the bank this week, but it was also potentially another $200 million post-data. So the warrants trigger upon data release, again, in December of this year, and the investors have 30 days to execute those warrants. So again, this could be another $200 million into the company at that time. And again, this is funding that we'll need to continue to progress the phase 3 and PPMS, but also to continue work to prepare for commercial launch of vidofludimus calcium.
You got to come back with us. I want you to come in studio and spend an hour with us one time, Jason. I'd love to pick your brain on it and give you guys the time.
I would love that.
It's San Diego. It's San Diego. It's not that big a ask. We've only had 3 days of rain in the last 10 years.
Jason Tardio, President and COO, Immunic Therapeutics, ticker symbol IMUX, helping those folks out there with MS. All right, we've got a lot more Big Biz Show. It's coming your way next. Don't go anywhere. Big Biz Show rolls on. We are live from the Lot 100 studios. Hope everyone is having a great day. They are great. That is the day trader Quattro, 2/3 and 8/8 or whatever of Sullivan.
4/7.
That works too. Back here at the bar, it is Costa, it is Murray Godwin.
Or if you count Jared from the Mighty Way Bossos, it's half.
Okay.
Would be easier for you.
That'll work.
We are brought to you by Prudential. Let Prudential be your rock for retirement. Also brought to you by Bayer Advanced. Better science, better results. Starbucks coffee. I'm hopped up on some right now.
Oh, yeah.
Bloomin' Brands and their fine family of restaurants, including Fleming Steakhouse and Outback Steakhouse. And, of course, Taylor Guitars. Single person in our band play a Taylor guitar? We may have to change that sponsorship. Good to have you along here. Troy Hazard, my good friend who wrote the book, The Naked Entrepreneur, Future-Proofing Your Business, TroyHazard.com. He is such a respected global keynote speaker. He's a best-selling business author. He's an entrepreneur. He's a TV host. He's a consultant. He's a good friend. And he's generally in a pretty good mood, as long as he only has to work 6 months out of the year. God. I think he's working 12 months out of the year.
Must be nice.
Troy, you and I have had this conversation over giant beers because you're from Australia. And all you do is drink giant cans of beer.
They're oil cans.
How you and I have always embraced and appreciated the art of selling.
Yes.
And the art of selling comes down to not only understanding the sales cycle, but understanding that you're always closing, thinking 3 steps ahead, countering objections, sometimes after they object, sometimes before they object. Depending on the circumstance. But I would argue, and you and I have had this conversation, as I mentioned, America has forgotten how to sell. They're good at taking orders. They're good at writing. You say you want a steak, medium rare, some fries, and a beer. But as far as selling them on the next thing, I think we've forgotten how to do that. Have we not?
I think so. And moreover, with the artificial intelligence helping that sales process, we've got even lazier. We're letting bots do the work for us and hoping that somewhere along the line we're going to engage a customer that cares about what we're trying to sell them. And it's impossible to think that that's a solution.
Well, you're either an investor or on the board of directors of several companies that are kind of looking at this through the lens of a bullseye here. What are you looking? Are you looking at this as something that is on the horizon that's going to get worse, or something that's actually happened right now and we've already met the enemy and it's us?
Well, I think it's already happening, but the thing we've got to be conscious of is that it's not the next thing that's going to save us. I mean, we've all looked at AI as being the next big thing, but it's like radio in the 30s, television in the 50s, the internet in the 90s. It is a thing we have to manage, but we need to not use it as a crutch, to use it as a tool. And I think a lot of salespeople in particular right now are using it as a crutch so they can more cover out into the marketplace. Some of it has a connection with the consumer. And of course the consumer's going, it's just more junk. Yeah. It's just more rubbish in my inbox, or more people that are calling me thinking they're my friend and they care, and they really don't.
Well, what did Howie say today earlier? If you think of AI as a dumb intern and you happen to be a dumb intern, it's garbage in, garbage out. What is the answer? What is the actual intelligent thing to do? AI should be actual intelligence versus artificial intelligence, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think so. I think the two things I've been encouraging our guys to think about over the last 6 months or so in particular is to work out how to leverage the tools that you've got and that AI gives all of us, but to not use it as an excuse to not reach out and talk to people. At some time, we have to have a human handoff from artificial intelligence to actual intelligence, where real people are talking to you in real conversations, the real purpose to try and engage you. That's the piece that I think we're missing. And the second thing I'm telling our guys to focus on is to not try and understand it. Understand that it is going to influence our business in some way, but engage smart guys around you that can sift through the rubble and actually find the stuff that might be suitable for your business and your purpose.
Troy Hazard, entrepreneur, keynote speaker, TroyHazard.com. Troy, I can't lie. The whole time you've been speaking, I've been trying to figure out that maze behind you, and I can't find it.
It's an AI background.
Oh, is that what it is? Okay.
It's an Airbnb.
It's meant to engage us.
Troy, whether I'm selling vacuum cleaner parts door to door or I'm selling computer chips today, is there one universal or a couple universal things that have held true as far as being a seller or a salesperson?
It's true connection. And it's understanding consumer needs. I mean, I bought a technology company back 25 years ago, and the first thing my guy said to me was, you're going to have to learn the technology, Troy. And my pushback was, I don't have to learn anything. For starters, I bought the company, but I'm also the customer. And so I'm the guy you're pitching to, and if I don't understand how technology is going to help me, then the technology to me is useless. And I think that's key in this whole process, is keep coming back to the same basic story of, are you serving my need? Are you fixing a problem for me? And are you connecting with me in a manner that's about me and not about you?
You know, it's what's really interesting on this is that, look, I remember, you remember, and I know you remember, encyclopedias and libraries.
Heck yeah, World Book, baby.
and then we all went to the University of Google.
Yep.
Okay, and the University of Google became quite useless after a while because of some of the same reasons, like when people purchase, let's say, followers on Instagram, suddenly everything's sponsored. Everything's sponsored, it's worthless, and you're not getting really what you want out of it. I think there's a place for AI, but it's not an excuse not to do look at, if you use it as a tool, if you use it as, and I'm not talking about ChatGPT, I'm talking about things like Perplexity and Claude and things like that. If you use it as sort of, okay, here's a customer, he's painfully, obviously worried about price. I can't do much about it. Give me some strategies here. So there's a sales manager in your pocket type. There's one way to do that and take advice, but not use it to do the work itself, right, Troy? Is that sort of the idea there?
Exactly. Like, appreciate my intelligence as a consumer, because I am still the smart guy or girl that you're trying to pitch to before these tools came along. And so when you patronize me in the way that you reach out to me, or it's not in your tone of voice, or it's not even your work, then I'm going to know that because I'm still that same smart guy and girl. I just can see through the rubbish that you're trying to pitch to me. And that's key. I mean, I'm dead set sick of some of our senior leadership sending me a board report that is not written by them. It's written by AI. And I can tell because it's incorrect.
I mean, it's so funny because we haven't had it here that long, but you can tell in a New York Minute if there's a report that's done by AI versus a report that's done by I mean, it's so obvious to see just how it's laid out. Troy, thanks, brother. I appreciate it. We'll see you next time. Are you guys even worried at all about AI taking jobs and stuff in terms of like your kids going to school or your kids?
I am, for sure.
Are you? No, sorry, I interrupted you, Mary.
Well, I just told Lily to find, she's looking for a double major.
Right.
And I said, go to AI and say, here's what I'm interested in and what job is going to be available for me in 10 years that AI is not going to take. And because I really feel like they need to.
See, but AI can't take jobs like, for example, financial advisor.
Yeah.
Okay. Because first of all, we are 20 years away from regulatory issues being able to let that happen. Mm-hmm. We're years away from it taking away from, let's say, a mortgage business or a psychological sort of consulting business where you're either a marriage family counselor and things like that. I mean, I think still, in terms of AI replacing, I still think it replaces rank and file sort of young workers versus full careers.
Well, I was hearing that it's if you have a job in front of your computer all day long, it's going to take your job because
But if you're soldering someone's pipe in their house because the water broke, or if you're
sweating a pipe because you got a PVC
wrap, baby, or if
that's a trade, right?
If you're cooking a meal in a Michelin star rated restaurant.
Well, Lexi's going to be a dancer on TV, so.
Big Biz Show, BigBizShow.com. Stand by. You ever see that show, that movie Oceans? Sting did the background.
Oh, is it like a national?
Mark wrote all the music.
Oh, he did?
Yeah.
Awesome.
You can tell.
Love it. Yeah, he is a member of the Day Trader Quattro in studio for the Big Biz Show. As we roll on for the Loft 100 studios, hope you're having a great day. We certainly are. Back here at the bar, Costume, Herbert, Godwin, and Sully.
Boy, big Cloudastructure press release today.
Oh.
CSAIs are stock symbol, of course, James McCormick and Greg Smitherman and LOB sometimes joins us. But they're doing a podcast out of our studio once a month for their, which I think is brilliant. And we're donating that to them because I think it's a brilliant model for a public company to communicate with their shareholders and really and what they're doing. And these folks are all about stopping crime before it happens with real-time AI surveillance. But there's a press release out. I'm just going to read the headline before we bring James up. And I think we have James and Greg today.
We do.
I think James is going to start off with this. But Cloudastructure deploys solar-powered AI security enclosures across multiple states, expanding critical infrastructure. James, you're going to talk about that. This is a very big thing. This is a game changer. It's a big deal. It adds another 17 funnels to you guys in terms of revenue sources. Talk about it from top to bottom in terms of how this affects you and what these enclosures are doing.
Yeah, absolutely. Can I start by saying when we were in the studio, there was only 3 musicians.
Yeah, I know. Well, right? We hired another one for your podcast.
And I'm sorry, the first of the podcast is actually live on our website and iTunes, a few other things as well. So anyway, press release, yes. So we just announced an expansion of what we like to call our enclosure product line. What's an enclosure? It's basically our fixed system that we would put in a multifamily property application, but encapsulated in a box, in an enclosure. It's got our cloud video recorder in it. It's got it comes with or can be spec'd with up to 2 cameras, speakers, strobe lights, the whole 9 yards. We announced a little while back a powered enclosure for applications where power is available. And today we just announced a solar application that we're actually shipping to one customer at 4 different sites where they're just starting the construction process, so there is no power. And because of the solar.
When you say enclosure, can you describe to our audience exactly what that means and how that operates?
Sure. So basically, it's, what would I say? It's 2.5 feet, 3 feet tall, 2 feet wide, 2 feet deep, and it includes all the componentry to allow us, just like we do with our fixed installations, to provide 24/7 video surveillance. Right? It's the exact same application. It's just, excuse me.
Dare I say portable? Dare I say scalable?
Both.
Okay.
Both. Scalable, portable and scalable. They're meant specifically for, think construction sites. And what's sort of the footprint of construction sites? They, right? They need to be protected for a period of time.
Sure. Right.
And then they don't. So with these units, what we can do is we can put multiples around the construction site, tie them all together, secure the property area, and then when they no longer need them, we can take them down and refurbish them and reuse them for the next set of applications.
James, is it safe to say sporting events? Is it safe to say?
I was thinking the exact same thing. Festivals, concerts,
and concerts and such.
Yeah. So I think that those type of applications would be served better with a mobile trailer, right? Okay. Which we also offer, but it's the same philosophy, right? The mobile trailer is just a different version of the enclosure, for lack of a better phrase, right? With the mobile trailer, the head unit that's on top of the telescoping mast, in essence, has the same functionality as the enclosure product that we're selling now as well.
James, does the enclosure protect the camera and everything from weather, from rain, from all the elements?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Right. It's been tested. So a couple things, right? So you have a weatherproof case, for lack of a better phrase. It's been weather tested to, extreme temperatures, both high and low. Like Las Vegas is a huge market for us from a construction standpoint. And as we know, it is anything in the summertime there, but not screaming hot, right?
Yeah.
So, right. So, yeah, it's impervious to the elements and makes it applicable for virtually any application, right, that a customer could think of, where they have let's just call it, right, a transient sort of application where they need protection for a period of time, and that's what these devices provide protection.
James McCormick is the CEO of Cloudastructure, Inc., ticker symbol CSAI, also joined by Greg Smitherman, his CFO of Cloudastructure, again, that ticker symbol CSAI.
I'm going to bring Greg on next break because we've got some stuff to go through, but I want to corner James here just for one more minute or so because and they do have a great partnership between the CEO and CFO, which we'll talk about here in the next segment, but this is just one of the ways when you said in the very beginning, James, and you said this on your podcast as well, about how you're using AI to drive gross profit. And the AI functions, was this something that you guys had envisioned even 6 to 12 months ago, or is this something that's always been on the horizon, or is this something that's just, with sort of the AI becoming the game changer, is this becoming something that was just absolutely necessary and just so obvious you couldn't hold off anymore?
You're specifically talking about the enclosure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was a relatively new development for us. There have been other applications like it from certain of our competitors out in the marketplace, but we basically started going at this market with this application, I would say, no more than 3 months ago. So think about that one, right? That's the other benefit of being a smaller, more nimble company. We can take things from ideas to prototype to execution relatively quickly, and that's what we proved out in this instance.
Well, and you always talked about your versatility, but this is the perfect example of how quickly you guys and nimble you guys can be, to use your parlance,
absolutely,
to do that.
Absolutely.
In terms of strategic growth, does this change? And I know we're going to talk about that with Greg and stuff. Does this change the numbers dramatically in your mind? I know you guys can't talk specifically about numbers and projections, but is this right on line of what you're thinking?
I think it's just right in line with what we're thinking. You know, initially when we put our thoughts together for our revenue plan for 2026 and the specific verticals that we were going to go after, we've talked about it before. Construction and commercial properties are have a lot of potential for us in 2026 and beyond. So I think you could think of this as just another tool for us to use to be able to penetrate that construction market and the commercial space.
You know, when we come back, I'm going to talk a little bit about your S3 shelf registration, what an S3 is, what that does, what an ATM does for a company like yours, and also want to talk about really the momentum around revenue growth. And this is just a piece of this thing. His name is James McCormick.
James McCormick and Greg Smitherman from Cloudastructure Incorporated, making your life safer. All right, more with them after this. Don't go anywhere as the Big Biz Show continues. Back here at the bar, it is Costa, it is Marybird Godwin, and it is Sully.
Here we go. And look who we have. We have both James McCormick and Greg Smitherman, the CFO and CEO of Cloudastructure, stock symbol CSAI. A couple things happening. Devin is putting together a BizTV, which is a sort of a 1 hour documentary on the industry where we're leaning on CSAI team to provide us with professionals to talk about this, but also the podcast that is now available on Apple. It's available on their website, which is cloudastructure.com. And I think, Mary, if you do your magic, you could probably get them on Spreaker and everywhere else, couldn't you?
I could.
Well, I was actually lucky enough to sit in.
James, all you got to do is just wink at Mary and maybe, bring her a Fresca every once in a while, and she'll get that podcast everywhere. Greg, great to see you. Can I talk to you guys about what an S3 is for our audience? Let's use this for a little bit of infotainment, or edutainment, I should say. You guys just filed an S3, what's called an S3 shelf registration for up to $150 million over the next 3 years, using what's called an ATM. Greg, can you explain that to our viewers in plain English? I do this stuff all the time, but it'd be really interesting to hear from a CFO on how this works. And the reason it's important is because this is a way to finance a company without literally worrying about a number of things, like if the money's going to be there, what the price is going to be, so on and so forth. Talk about that just a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. And really, it's good corporate governance to have an S3 out there to provide a company with the flexibility, as you said, for financing opportunities as they come up. So an S3 is a specific form of registering your securities. We don't have anything particular in mind at the moment, but we're registering up to 150 million so that we're ready. So if an interesting acquisition opportunity comes up, interesting technology that we see, a whole host of things that we can leverage. So now we have sort of the financing capability. We've worked with the SEC. We've gotten the shelf registration approved. We're through a big hurdle. It speeds the process up and allows us to be more nimble and react more quickly.
Hey, Greg, just real quickly, just so people understand, a shelf registration means we are registering shares ahead of time, setting them on the shelf to be used for later, because the SEC requires every share be registered before you do a financing, unless you put out what's called restricted stock, which is an entire different exemption. But what this really does is it gives you the opportunity for stock for currency on a potential acquisition, or for stock for financing. I mean, are those the two main pinpoints?
Those are the two main things, right? Acquisition, financing, but it's also that flexibility, right, where you can do a whole bunch of different types of financing. But as you said, right, the stock is sitting on the shelf. We haven't put it out of the marketplace. It's ready and waiting, so that if we find the right opportunities, we can react. And we're always looking for interesting opportunities, interesting technologies. We see them all the time. Nothing has risen to the level of, well, let's go snag that one yet. But we are always on the lookout, always keeping our eyes open.
Well, and by the way, S3 is a streamlined sort of registration, right? Isn't that the reason you do an S3 versus an S1 or S8? Or I know they're for different reasons, but the long story short is the S3 is a streamlined sort of registration, is it not?
It is. It's a much more simple form. It's a lot less expensive than doing an S1. It's a lot, as you said, more streamlined to get it through. S8 does your option plans, so it's a different type of registration. But an S1, you can do anything. An S3 has a little bit more narrow. You've got to be a public company for a year, in good standing,
And let's not forget the real reason for all of this, which I think that I don't think there's anybody on this program that's old enough to remember this, but back in the Great Depression, companies were selling 300% of 100% because there was no registration. There was you've got 100 shares, but they were selling, and it was a desperate move by companies to continue raising money, but they were diluting everybody else without telling anybody. And this is hence why the Securities and Exchange Commission was really formed. It's the job of FINRA is to really keep track of every single share out there, so we know every time you have a pie and it gets diluted a little bit, you need to know who's got what share, so we're not again selling 500% of the pie. Talk about with respect to the press release we were talking to James about today in terms of the AI security enclosures. So let's just, for example, and by the way, guys, these guys are a publicly traded company. I don't have any inside non-material information. I'm just using this as an analogy. Let's say there was an enclosure company out there that was making more of these. That would be a good example of potential acquisition if it was a low debt company and you needed to use stock for currency. Now you have stock on the shelf to do something like an acquisition strategy to grow the business. Is that a good analogy?
Yeah, it's a perfect analogy.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I'll give, we could give you another one as well. We talk about remote guarding, right? And humans in the loop and how that's a key differentiator for us. Well, now we have one site. Depending on how things go and insurance requirements, et cetera, there might be a need for us to have a US-based remote guarding facility. And there's two ways you could do it. You could build it from scratch, or perhaps you could acquire someone that already has operations up and running and revenue and customers and all that stuff. So there's another example.
Hey, guys, real quick, and Greg, I'm going to point to both of you guys to answer this equally. If you think in terms of you guys look at your momentum and revenue growth is way beyond what the revenue calls and everything. I mean, you guys were very conservative in terms of everything you put out so far. You guys are hitting it out of the park. What makes you think you guys can continue this thing? I know you can, just because I believe in you guys and your whole team and what you're doing. And of course, with you deploying AI to increase revenue growth. What makes you guys think you guys can do this? Because you guys are on track to be $1 billion company if you keep on doing this on this sort of trajectory.
Yeah. So Greg, let me go first, and then you jump in with whatever you want. And so let us share some statistics with you that kind of really excite us, right? Which is, we've talked about this before as well. We have 7 of the top 11 property management firms in the United States as customers. Those 7, just those 7, and we have far more customers and far more logos, but those 7 manage 2.5 million units.
Jeez.
And if you take an average number of units per property, and you do the math on average contract size for us with these folks, the TAM equates to something like $1 billion. Now, of course, that's if we got every single one of those properties, and of course we wouldn't, but think about that for a minute, right? Just 7 of the top 11, $1 billion TAM.
Wow.
And that's one of the sweet spots of what we're doing right now.
James McCormick, CEO of Cloudastructure, Inc. Greg Smitherman, Chief Financial Officer. The website is cloudastructure.com. More importantly, ticker CSAI. Making your world safer. Fortunately, that'll do it for this edition of the Big Biz Show. As always, we appreciate you tuning in. We will see you next time.